Hello, this is Mr. Gelfie here for Rocket Club X1017, and this is the first in a series of videos on the different rockets in our club library. I really shouldn't call it a club library, this is our club fleet. I like that better. Right now we are at 24 rockets, I believe. Could be 26, but I think it's 24 rockets. And some of you may be familiar with some of these may be brand new. But we're going to start with the smallest class of rockets. They're called mini engine rockets. And as you look at this, you can see they run on the smaller size, the smaller diameter engine. Go a little bit less high, but they're great for starters. And just because they're small does not mean that they're not cool at all, because they do a lot of cool stuff. So this is the first one in the series. You may be familiar with this if you've taken my rocket camp over the past couple years. This is the Gnome. It's easy to assemble, goes together in about a half hour for a first-time builder. I use it all the time to send it up to see how the wind is. And its recovery mode is a streamer. And when I say recovery mode, I'm referring to how it controls its descent to the ground. There's three kinds really. There is the streamer, there's the parachute, and there is kind of a mosquito method, they call it, where it just kind of flutters to the ground because its shape allows it to catch the air and gently make it to the ground. So there are some different parts on this. You have a nose cone, you have a fuselage, you have tail fins, you have a retainer clip to hold the engine in place. You also have, this is the launch rod mounts, I guess. You have one here and one here. And this goes onto the little launch rod, our launch pad, and your motor goes down the bottom. And the motor we use with this typically is something called a half A4-3. And I will have a separate video on what the different definitions of the motors are and how the motors work and how you can choose what motors to use depending upon if you want to have it go up on a nice calm day, an area where you have lots of room to recover it, or if you are kind of stuck on your own property or on a schoolyard that's not too big and you want to safely get your rocket back. So anyway, this is the first of a series, and we're going to break here and look at the next one on the line, okay? Okay, we have two more mini engines here, and these ones are really cool, I think. These are actually two models that are no longer current, but you can still get them really easy on Amazon. The green one is called the Scorpion, and the black one is called the Lynx. And let me just take a little look at this and show you kind of a little bit about it. This is the Scorpion. This is an advanced, a little bit more complicated one to make because this area here involves cutting shapes out of cardboard tubing and then gluing on, which is kind of an advanced technique. Also, you're having to like cut or sand 15-degree angles onto various things, pieces of balsa, to make this all happen. And speaking of balsa, this plane is, cardboard tube and balsa. So everything you see, other than these little rods, is balsa and tubing. So, and of course, a plastic nose cone. Inside, it has a parachute for recovery, and it's a 12-inch parachute on both of these, actually. And personally, if you've seen the video of the Scorpion go up, you can see how it didn't actually get its parachute out. So I'm going to experiment with using a 6-inch parachute on it, and if that's the case, I'm probably going to buy 6 inches for these, or possibly 9 inches if those are a little smaller. But I think it's just too narrow of a tube for a 12-inch, but we'll see what happens. Let's see, on the bottom, pretty much just the green, but a cool looking kind of plane ship. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's really pretty neat. So this is the Scorpion. It's a mini. This runs, I ran it on the half A4-3 on the failed attempt, so I'm going to run it on an A10-3 next time. The Lynx here, there went a rocket. The Lynx here is almost the exact same, style of plane, except it has kind of a different configuration as far as the balsa goes. I think this one was actually a little easier to make. You can see how there's some pieces here. All these pieces are individual and they have to be all pieced together. Mine came kind of broken a little bit in the mail, a little bit crushed. This piece right here was broken, and this wing part, you can see if you look really closely there's a little crack right there, had to be kind of mended. it's all repairable stuff. And even if your rocket kind of crashes and breaks a wing off or something like that, you can always fix it. So that's the beauty of this whole stuff. Inside it comes with a 12-inch parachute for recovery, which I once again think is a little too small. And like the Scorpion, it has tubes that you cut out from a full tube and glue on to make kind of these cool jet intake manifolds. They're kind of neat looking. So, but once again, this is a level 3 and a little more advanced, a lot of balsa. But if you have good eye-hand coordination, go for it. It only costs like, I think, $20 or $24. So something like that. Anyhow, let's look at some others. All mini engines. All right, one of my all-time favorite minis. This is the Mini A Heli, and its recovery system is helicopter. And so if you look at it, you can see how it has these kind of blades on it. Now I'd open it up, but I've actually got it ready loaded to go. And you also see there's some thread right here too. Kind of a different way to do this. So you go to the top, we see we have some slots cut right here, and there's no removable nose cone. This whole part here is all glued on. You have these little lever sections here, rubber bands, and it runs on a Mini. Now, how this works is pretty amazing. It launches up. I've done this one time so far, and we used a half A 4-3, and it went up really nice. And as soon as the recovery blast happens, instead of launching a parachute or a streamer, what it does is this. Let's see if we can see it here properly. Here we go. Now, if we look at this carefully, we have the string passing through a hole inside the rocket, okay? So it's actually a string in there. That string is holding down these blades. These blades are all on tension with rubber bands. So it goes, it launches up. The blast happens that normally launches a parachute, and instead of doing that, it burns off this thread, which then allows the propeller blades to open, and then the whole thing flips upside, or actually lands tail first on the ground. It's amazing, and it comes down nice and gently like a helicopter, and I'm 1 for 1 on it so far, no breakage or anything like that. Going to try it again with an A10-3 and give it a little bit more height and see what happens. But the Mini A Heli is, I believe this is called an expert level. It's probably the most advanced Mini that's out there, and I'm really happy with it. Though it worked perfectly. All right, another Mini here, and this is our first Mini 2-stage. So this is called the Checkmate, and the Checkmate runs on a Mini motor, as you may see here, and it has a booster stage, which is right here, and a main stage, which is right here. And so it runs on 2 different engines. It runs on the A10-0 booster, and then the either half A34 or the A10-3 if you really want to get some height out of this thing. I kind of caution you, if you're going to use the A10-3 in combination with the booster, you're going to get this up really high, and you may have some trouble getting it back. But fortunately, it also works on a streamer, I believe, and let's find out from right on that. So let's open the nose cone here. My finger is in the way of the video. Maybe this is one hand. Open the nose cone, take a look inside. I'm not seeing a parachute right there, so this is, yes, it's a streamer, which is underneath the shock cord, which is that rubber band. The Checkmate, and let's take it apart here and see what it looks like on 2 different stages. So now we have the 2 different stages. This is the booster stage, which has a little plug on the back here, and so it will burn out the back, launching the rocket this way, and when it gets to its end, its last little phase lights up the next motor here, which then sends it across. And the 2 stages are pretty cool. This just flutters to the ground in the mosquito effect, and this one has the streamer. So this one's not flown yet, and I really can't wait to see how this one performs. So pretty fun, the Checkmate. Okay, this is called the Twin Factor. Since we're talking about 2 stagers, let's look at this one here. The Twin Factor runs on the same motors that we just described for the Checkmate. It has the A10-0 booster. And then on the top, you can run either an A10-3 if you really want to get it really high, or a half A34 if you want to have a little bit more kind of recoverability to this thing. Now, no parachutes, no nothing like that. It's going to do the flutter, the mosquito effect. This is the two different parts. And my mini engine goes in there. Booster goes in there. And pretty easy to make. This one is all laser cut cardstock and tubing. And so all the stuff you see here is laser cut cardstock, and this is laser cut cardstock, same here and here. It takes a little bit of skill to get this one done. So eye-hand coordination is a must, and but if you can handle that, it was really nice. And I haven't flown this one yet either. This one's on schedule to go off on the next launch we have. So the Twin Factor runs on minis, pretty cool. This is the Fletcher, the biggest mini of them all. So big I can barely fit it all on there. So the Fletcher is about 3 feet long, maybe a little longer, and runs on a mini. Has really neat tail feather type tail fins, but I messed up on mine. I made this kind of early on when I was doing this, not really understanding some of the rules you need to follow. And the balsa tail fins, you need to paint primer on those and sand them if you're going to put stickers on them, because the stickers are just not going to want to stick. And I failed to do that. I tried to put the stickers directly on the balsa, and they didn't stick, and they just peeled right off, especially on the first launch. I have one that's supposed to be white. Didn't come out very well white. I think it's just a poor build on my part. But the Fletcher is kind of cool. Its only launch was a failure because it's so big that the half A 4-3 that I used was too small for it. And so we're going to try it again with an A10-3 and see if it goes up there and launches, and successfully goes up and deploys its parachute. Excuse me. The last time it went, it just really didn't have enough altitude to properly get its parachute out, and I think I packed it a little too tight, and so that resulted in just another compoundment to this failure. So we're going to try to do it right. It has a 6-inch parachute, which I really like, and if we'll launch this first, we'll take the 6-inch parachute out and try it out on the Scorpion and the Lynx later on. So this is the largest of our minis, the Fletcher. The Fletcher also is not a current model, and you'd have to find this one on eBay. It's out there completely. It's an easy build too, so give it a whack.